All right, guys, we need to talk about the WWE draft because, last year in 2025, it was rumored to be taking place on ESPN, and then it obviously didn't happen. Then it was rumored that WWE was just going to move it to 2026. Well, it actually turns out that WWE has made the decision to no longer do the draft. According to a new report from Bodyslam.net, WWE sources have confirmed that they are not planning on doing a draft in 2026, but instead they will be doing roster trades and, GMs can do trades and sign free agents and that sort of thing. But WWE doesn't really have a big concrete plan to shuffle up the roster, which to me kind of seems like a tone-deaf decision. If you watch the WWE programming, you know that it could very well benefit from a roster change. They have SmackDown now being 3 hours long, which there is some fresh talent on SmackDown, which is great. And obviously we got some call-ups between both shows, but I simply don't believe that call-ups are enough. And I think WWE is making a disastrous choice by not doing the draft because, quite frankly, you got to freshen up the program. Now, WWE sources indicating that they're done with the draft. It may not be a long-term plan. I think WWE at some point will probably bring it back, but I just think they need to have something in play when it comes to doing these roster shakeups. And they got to do it in a way that is logical, because if it's not logical, then it's not fun, right? We all remember when they did the superstar shakeup bullshit that was executed very poorly. But they need to do something. They need to do something. And I feel like they've done a really good job of introducing these NXT call-ups. I love watching Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce, trying to bring in Oba Femi. It was really cool when WWE did that initially with Jade Cargill as well. So I'm down for things of that nature. But the reality is they need to have something a little bit more depth, I should say, when it comes to actually signing talent. And quite frankly, when it comes to signing talent for Raw or SmackDown, or when it comes to doing trades, I think they need to do like a trade deadline. If you're not going to do the draft, then do a trade deadline. They should have a trade deadline in which, maybe WWE kind of follows the lead of the NBA and the NFL and MLB. Because, for example, in the NBA, the trade deadline is like right before All-Star Weekend. Well, WWE should have a trade deadline before like Survivor Series or something like that, or whatever PLE is in October. So October and November. I think WWE, if they're going to do trades, they got to do something with a system that just makes sense. Quite frankly, I think this is an issue that WWE has when it comes to the roster shakeup. All these years, regardless, Vince McMahon, Triple H, TKO, no TKO, I think WWE has kind of dropped the ball when it comes to how to do a roster shakeup. When it comes to doing a draft or a superstar shakeup or trades or something of that nature, it just seems like they've never been able to figure it out. They've made the attempts with like USA executives being in the room and Fox executives being in the room, and I thought that those were some cool little things that they've done. But I just don't think WWE has ever fully figured it out. Which is strange because you can literally just copy the NBA and the NFL. You could copy Major League Baseball. You can copy Major League Soccer. You can copy pretty much every other sport and do it identical to that, and it would work out perfectly. But yeah, WWE just can't figure it out, and now it's going away. So it is what it is. All right, we got some huge news on the WWE and ESPN partnership, but more specifically, XFinity customers. Wow, I am so happy to bring you guys this update. Quite frankly, this was a disaster. I have criticized WWE, ESPN, TKO. I've criticized them all for the rollout of the WWE ESPN deal. But effective today, XFinity has now enabled ESPN's unlimited plan authentication for eligible XFinity customers. So now this is literally ahead of time for Elimination Chamber. So basically the way that this would work is if you have XFinity, Spectrum TV, DirecTV, Verizon Fios, Cox, or AT&T Uverse, you can literally just Go into the ESPN app and log in with your cable credentials, and you will have access to ESPN Plus. Now, with that being said, YouTube TV still has yet to come to an agreement. So yeah, that's kind of a bad thing. But XFinity is finally official. It is finally happening. You could finally log in. Now, I'm not going to lie. I have been super critical of the rollout for ESPN because I think there was a lot of misinformation being provided to everybody publicly. Now, I think that was not intentional. I think there was other news sources coming out explaining it. There was too many pots, too many hands in the kitchen, too many people trying to stir the pot. I don't know exactly how else to explain it, but the rollout was not really beneficial to WWE, and it sure as hell wasn't beneficial to ESPN. And the executives at both companies should honestly be pretty upset about the whole thing. But XFinity has a really large community. They have a really big customer base. And there is a lot of people who have XFinity that were hoping, hey, I don't want to pay $30 for ESPN Unlimited, so now I'm going to sign up through XFinity, and they didn't get it. They didn't have access to the application. So now that seems to be resolved. Is it a little too late? No, I think it's literally like better now that it's happening. Obviously, that's a big deal, and I'm glad that it's happening. But it is something to be mindful of because, well, there's a lot of people who are angry about the situation. But if you have XFinity, now you don't have to pay $30 a month for ESPN Unlimited. And I know there's a lot of people who watch this channel that were very clear on that. Hey, I don't want to pay $30 a month. I pay for XFinity. It's not fair. Well, guys, I agree with you. They obviously agreed with you. XFinity and ESPN were able to come up to an agreement, and now it is there. The authentication process is actually really easy. It's literally you just type in like your username and password for your XFinity and you authenticate it that way. It is so easy. If anybody needs help getting signed up or like figuring that out, you could just drop me a comment or join the Discord server, and I'll be happy to help anybody with that. But I'm just happy in general. $30 a month you no longer have to pay for. A lot of people are going to benefit from that. It's a very big deal, so make sure you share this with a friend so they know. Okay, let's talk about it, guys. AJ Styles officially knocks out all of the rumors. He knocks out all of the speculation, and he is making it really clear he is not going to AEW. He has rejected AEW. He says he is not going to AEW. He was on the Talkin' Shop podcast, which is Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, their podcast. And he spoke about this. He spoke about, not going to AEW. He says his word is his word. He is staying with WWE. He has no plans to go to AEW. He's making that very, very clear. And obviously this is a big deal because a lot of wrestling fans are upset about that. But he's going to be working on developing the future of the business in WWE. What a whirlwind of rumors and speculation. And I just think ever since the Royal Rumble, watching AJ retire, there was a lot of question marks as to what was happening. A lot of people seem to be really upset about the idea of him going to AEW. Some people seemed really upset about the idea of him retiring in general. Quite frankly, I understand. I get it. I know a lot of people have that emotional attachment to the wrestlers. But with AJ, it was just such a weird situation because, to be fair, we have seen this before. We saw Edge leave WWE and go to AEW, and we were all under the impression he was retiring from WWE. But yeah, Styles is turning down everything. He's not going to TNA. He's not going to AEW. He made this decision on his own. It had nothing to do with the Hall of Fame. It had nothing to do with WWE. Like, it sounds like he really went to WWE and was like, guys, I can't do it anymore. And yeah, like he says, like he's still got this relationship with WWE. He's still working with WWE. He says, I have these dreams of helping out young talent. If somebody is not ready once they get there, it's my job to hopefully get them to that point to where they can do it. And they are confident when they step into a WWE ring. Being able to help with that is a blessing. That's obviously a very good thing too. And I think AJ Styles is the perfect veteran for wrestlers to learn from. And good for him, good for AJ. He had a hell of a career, but also good for a lot of the talent who are going to be there. If you're a wrestler backstage in WWE and you have the opportunity to get into the mind of AJ Styles and you don't take advantage of that, I would probably question. If I was an executive, I would probably question. I would probably question your dedication to your job. Because AJ Styles is a wealth of knowledge that you just simply have to take advantage of. This guy knows what it's like to get paid a lot of money in pro wrestling. He knows what it's like to basically get paid very little. He knows what it's like to work for a company that was not loyal to him, despite him being loyal to them. He knows what it's like to have good management, bad management. He knows what it's like to work for pretty much all of the major hot spots you can work in professional wrestling. You want to take advantage of that. You want to learn from a guy like that. And what a great talent he is. So obviously a shitty situation with him retiring. We all love AJ, but it is what it is. And that's all it's going to be. Okay, we got to talk about this because we got a huge update on a WWE SmackDown superstar who is so over that it is now forcing WWE executives to make a change. Wow, I didn't expect that to happen. Well, for those who don't know what I'm talking about, WrestleVotes has come out and reported that Trick Williams essentially is forcing WWE to be changing course. He debuted on the main roster, and now WWE is looking at making him a babyface. WrestleVotes Radio on Fightful Select had reported that there is a strong sentiment that Trick's connections with the crowd is so strong that they need to essentially present him as a babyface. Wow, I am shocked. I am so shocked. Guys, it's not only time for Trick Williams to turn babyface, it is time for WWE to call an audible and have him go to WrestleMania and beat Drew McIntyre. And I know there's somebody out there who is not happy with what I just said. So let me repeat that. Trick Williams needs to go to WrestleMania and defeat Drew McIntyre. He needs to become WWE champion. Why? Because then we're going to have another LA Knight situation on our hands. And I am so sick and tired of the IWC telling me that LA Knight should be a world champion after 3 years of being incredibly over. Guys, if you don't strike when the iron is hot, you are going to have another LA Knight situation. I do not want to see that again. I do not want to hear people bitch and complain for 3 years. I don't want to see wrestlers not being utilized properly for the next 3 years. So listen, Trick Williams is completely over. It's obvious. We are all aware of that. We are all aware of it. And so WWE, they need to do it. They need to. They need to make him a babyface and they need to make him a champion. It doesn't have to be forever. It doesn't have to be a 6-month reign, but have Trick Williams be a babyface. And you know what? Let's have a little bit of fun. Make Cody Rhodes a heel. Seriously, man. If you look at Trick Williams now, there's a lot of similarities to The Rock in 1998. He's gonna be their guy. And the sooner that WWE realizes that and capitalizes on it, the better it is. And now you could experiment a little bit with Cody Rhodes being a heel. I'm just saying there's a lot of cool stuff you could do here. Don't get mad at me for the fact that I'm saying it, because the truth is there's like 16, 17,000 people going to these arenas and they're going crazy for the guy. And that tells you everything you need to know. The paying consumer is telling WWE right in front of their eyes, we want this guy. So it's up to WWE to listen and for WWE to handle it appropriately.